Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about the United States military. There are 5 branches in our military. There's the United States Army, the United States Marine, the United States Air Force, the United States Coast Guard, and the United States Navy. So the United States Army is actually the largest branch with 700,000 soldiers, according to GoArmy.com. It began on June 14th, 1775, and it is considered the ground force of the military. MilitarySpot.com says the Army provides campaign quality combat, combat support, and combat service support capabilities necessary to conduct sustained land warfare. So the first job I want to talk about is the 12B Combat Engineer, which is what my fiance actually just swore into the Army to do. He leaves January 2nd. So a combat engineer, according to GoArmy.com, basically primarily supervise, serve, or assist as a member of a team when they are tackling rough terrain and combat situations. They provide their expertise in areas such as mobility, counter-mobility, survivability, and general engineering. So basically, if a team were to go out and they needed to get somewhere and they couldn't because of rough terrain, they would call the combat engineers and they would come out and just basically blow everything up so they could get through. Some duties of a combat engineer are construct fighting positions. So they will go out and stealthily write down coordinates of positions where they can best see the enemy for the future teams coming out. They will place and detonate explosives, like I said, just to so the teams can get through and do their jobs. They conduct operations that include route clearance of obstacles and rivers, and they also detect mines visually and with mine detectors. Training to become a combat engineer is 14 weeks. In these 14 weeks, you will go to basic training for 10, and then the last 4 is your actual MOS combat engineer training. And part of that training is in the classroom, and part of it is in the field, learning how to set bombs, when and where you should set bombs, learning how to write coordinates, figure out coordinates, relay coordinates to headquarters so they know where you are. Okay, so the next branch is the United States Marines. They are the second smallest branch in the United States military, and it was first established in 1775, and it actually wasn't its own branch. It was a ground force element of the Navy, and it wasn't until 1798 that the Marine Corps was actually named its own branch, the United States military. Even though they are their own branch, they are actually still supported by the Navy medical corps because the Marines do not have their own medical corps. So they link with the Navy for their nurses and surgeons and things like that. And unlike other branches, all Marines go to the same exact basic training. It doesn't matter if you go to MCRD Paris Island or if you go to MCRD San Diego, you will get the same exact training. Doesn't matter if you're a boy or a girl or you're MOS, you will get the same exact training. You will all be a 0311 rifleman. And that doesn't mean that your MOS, like I will explain later, that doesn't mean your MOS is 0311. It just means that you are a rifleman. You are a trained rifleman and you know how to shoot a gun. I just want to talk about the 0311 infantrymen. My best friend, her fiance, actually left about a month ago for basic training, so he's been there for a while, and he is actually an 0311 infantryman. So the Marines' mantra is every Marine is a rifleman. That's why they all go through the same basic training, like I said. According to MarineCorps.com, it says that this does not mean that every Marine has the MOS 0311 of the actual infantry rifleman. It does mean that every Marine, from food specialist to logistics personnel, has been trained in the basics of being a rifleman. So basically, no matter who you are, no matter what your MOS is, you will be trained to be a rifleman. Just a fun fact, the riflemen employ the M4 service rifle, the M203 grenade launcher, and the M249 squad automatic weapon, AT4s, and M72 light anti-tank weapon rockets. So the next branch is the United States Air Force, and according to airforce.com, the mission of the United States Air Force is to fly, fight, and win in air, space, and cyberspace. It was formed in 1947 under the National Security Act, and it is actually the most recent branch to join the United States military, or to be part of the United States military. It is actually one of the largest and most technologically advanced air forces in the whole entire world. So the job I want to talk about is Air Battle Manager. So the Air Force is the brains of the United States military, basically. They have a lot of smart people, and a lot of times their jobs require college education. This particular job requires a bachelor's degree. And airforce.com says, utilizing strategy, experience, and intimate knowledge of aircraft, weapons, and surveillance, air battle managers use everything at their disposal to control the outcome of an air battle. So basically, with this headset right here, you are in the pilot's ear telling him where to go, when to shoot, what to shoot at, and basically how to handle the situation as best they can. The next branch is the United States Coast Guard, and it was created by Congress in 1790. This is actually the most forgotten branch of the United States military, even though they've been in every single war since 1790 all the way up to the Iraq War. The Coast Guard is a maritime military multi-mission service unique among the U.S. military branches for having a maritime law enforcement mission with jurisdiction in domestic and international waters. So the job I want to talk about is gunner's mate. According to coastguard.com, gunner's mates typically work out of armories, areas, districts, naval engineering support systems, weapons augmentation teams, and aboard cutters, which are these ships pictured here. This job requires skills in electronics, mechanical systems, along with hydraulics. So a gunner's mate will go to A school for 10 weeks, and then most graduates will go to C school, and you will be at C school for 5 to 14 weeks, depending on what your job is. And this is actually one of the oldest ratings in the Coast Guard. So the last branch of the United States military is the United States Navy, and they are the largest and most capable Navy in the world. They have the largest aircraft carrying fleet, which has 11 in service, 1 in reserves, and then 2 new aircraft carriers under construction currently. It was founded in 1775, and the role of the United States Navy, according to Navy.com, is naval warfare, power projection, nuclear deterrence, and sea lift. The job that I chose to talk about is emergency fire and rescue. The Navy.com says, when it comes to preventing or containing hazardous situations, damage controlmen are the first on the scene. So basically, if there is a fire or anything like that, they will be called to put out the fire. They go through extensive training. They're certified firemen, actually. So just some of the parts of this MOS are firefighting, like I said, emergency equipment repair, and onboard damage control. So if anything happens to any of the aircrafts or the ship, they will be called to help repair it. After the 7 to 9 weeks of Navy basic training, damage controlmen will receive an additional 10 weeks of training for this particular MOS. This has been the United States military branches. Thank you so much for your time.